Hi, let's take a look to this simple example of a language. This language is used to describe organizations, and in particular small organizations. And in this language I can describe an organization like Acme. I can say that there are different roles, the CEO, CTO, sales managers, and so on. And there are a few persons that are playing these roles. This is a very small organization with 5 persons, so some person play more than one role. So John is both the CEO and the CTO. Henry is a project manager and a sales manager. We have a couple of developer and an admin. Now we can describe some processes, and for example, this is the process that I can use and well, this is the process for writing proposals. So in this process we first have the CTO preparing the first draft, then this is revised by a developer, the CTO then prepare estimates, the sales manager send the proposal, and the admin archive the proposal. And this is our very simple example. Let's see how we can build a web editor for this language. Okay, let's see how we can create a web editor for this language using WebEditKit. In my index HTML, well, I can write any HTML that I want. For example, I have this title, and then I place a div with a specific class editor and with a certain ID. Now what I want to do is to render my editor inside that div. To render my editor inside that div, what I need to do is this, is to set up WebEditKit and then specify that I want to add a certain model in that div. In this case I specify the URL of the server, the MPS server, that in this case is running on this machine at port 2904. I specify the name of the model and the node ID. And I also specify the target, so in this case the name of the div where I want to place the editor. Let's go back one moment to MPS to see where we can see the node ID. We can see the node ID here inside the inspector. In this case I am in the node representing the organization, and here is the node ID. Then I also need the name of the model. In this case com.strumenta.businessorg.sandbox.acme inc. Here in TypeScript I am using the name of the model and the node ID. Okay, now I have all that I need to start showing the editor. What I need to do is go into MPS and start the MPS server. To start the MPS server, well, I can just go here and start it. The server can also be started from the command line if you want. In this way you can start MPS headless and start the server like this. In this case I'm just going to press the button. Okay, that's it. So let's go back to TypeScript. Okay, so now we have the server running, we have all the code. Well, I built all the code. There are some configuration detail, like I need to specify that WebEditKit is my dependency, and then I am using browserify to generate JavaScript from TypeScript and added all the dependencies. These are details, but the result of this is our editor, and let's take a look at it. Here it is, our editor. Now our editor is very simple because we have not specified a custom editor for our node. So it's showing this default editor that just say default and the name of the concept. But we have something very, very basic working. Now what we can see is how to specify specific editors for each single node. Okay, let's see how we can create specific renderers for our concept. Our renderers are editors, the equivalent of editors in MPS. So we register a renderer for a specific concept. And a renderer is basically a function that returns cells. In this case, we want to return a list of cells, one after the others, in a single row. That is more or less an horizontal collection. And we want to specify first a fixed piece of text, and then we want to represent the name of our organization. Okay, so that's it. Let's see how this looks like. Okay, our editor looks like this. So I can change the name of my organization, and this is reflected in MPS. Good. Now what we want to do next, we want to add the roles and the persons. So we want to wrap our role in a vertical collection. Okay, so we'll have this first row, then we will have a empty row, and then a row where we can just write roles. Okay, I'm doing something wrong with the indentation. Okay. Okay, now we want to specify the single roles and the single persons. So we can do like this. Okay, of course we do not have an editor for our role and person or a renderer, so we need to create it. But first we may want to indent these roles and persons. Let's see how we can do that. We can basically put a tab cell and wrap this in an editor, in a row, sorry. Okay, better. Now let's see how we can represent the roles. Well, the roles have just a name, so that will be easy. So let's copy these. In this case, we are talking overall, and we want to return a simple editable cell to represent the name. Okay, that should work. So let's see how to represent persons now. Now, a person has a name, then there is a fixed cell with the colon, and then we have the collection of the roles of that person. So that will be an horizontal collections. Okay, now what else? We have this concept is a role played. A role played contains just a reference to the role, right? Typical MPS stuff. So we need to create an editor for role played. This will just contain one cell of type reference. So we will use a reference cell. Okay, so that's getting better. Now what else? We have commas between the roles. On MPS, let's try to do the same thing in our editor. I think here we can specify a separator, which is basically a function that should return my my cell that I could use between the different elements. Okay, so we have commas. These are references, so I could, for example, open them in a second tab, or I could change them now. For now, the editing of references has to improve, let's say. But that's basically it. If we want, we can also do some styling, right? So let's look at how to do that. Now we can do that in many different ways. One simple way to do that is adding extra classes. Like this. Now title, it's represented with a bigger font. We could also use different HTML elements inside our editor to customize, so for example adding a div, but we're going to see that next time. Okay, so that's very basic demo, but I wanted just to give you an impression of what does it mean to create editor with WebEditKit. Both MPSServer, so the server side of this system, and WebEditKit, so the framework I use to create this editor, are open source, so if you like them, well, use them. Okay, thank you.